If you manage a team or if you work with a bunch of teammates, I built this upgrade to my task tracker and it allows you to slice and dice all your team's information all in one space. So for example, right here I can see all of my teammates and any task that they have with a deadline in the next 7 days. Or if I want to see anything that's past deadline, I can do that too. And by default, without any special views, you can see exactly what tasks are pending for each one of your teammates. You also have a dashboard that shows how many tasks are pending for your team and a list of all the pending tasks sorted by date and then sorted by priority after the date. So you have a nice holistic snapshot of exactly what your team is working on at all times. There's also a snapshot calendar showing exactly what is due each day. And you can see some visualizations with the breakdown of how your team is performing. Best of all, this is super simple to use. Each teammate has their own task tracker, so that way they're not distracted by other people's tasks and can focus solely on themselves. And this is all built off of my automated task tracker. So for example, whenever I mark a task as pending, a timestamp will appear over here on the right hand corner. And whenever I mark a task as done, a timestamp will appear right here under task completed, and it will move from the task list to the bottom of the done tab. And since everything is synced, that task tracker is no longer going to be on your list since it's no longer pending. Recurring tasks are automatically added each day while you sleep. Anything that's marked as yes will automatically be added to the bottom of the task list. And then the last added date will update to whenever the last run was, and it will calculate when it needs to be completed again. And just like when it's removed, whenever anything is added, it will automatically be reflected on the team tracker as well. And you can sort by priority, different things like that to see exactly what's occurring when. I have this built for teams up to 20. If you have more than 20, you might want to look into more system software solutions instead of managing by spreadsheet. You can if you want to, you can always add more, but it's entirely up to you. Adding new teammates is super easy. All you have to do is click on the blank template and make a copy. And I'll put teammate example, click make a copy. And now we have a blank spreadsheet for them to use. All we have to do is go to visualizations and we'll put the name of the employee. So I'll put example employee. And then the last thing you need to do is simply go over here and you can paste the URL of the teammate and then it will automatically populate with the range that needs to get pulled. And the last thing you need to do is allow access. Once you allow access, it will automatically be synced. So you can see right here, whatever we have listed for the name, it will automatically pull that name. And then once the different tasks are added to their task tracker, for example, unplanned, task example, not started, medium, we'll give today a deadline, and improve profitability, it will automatically be synced to the full team list. So if I go back to my task list, you can see example employee is now listed there. And if I go to my all tasks due, you can see that that's listed. So everything is flowing through exactly as we want it to. And that's really it. So the team tracker is not editable. So for example, if I try to edit this to something else, it's going to give us a reference error because it can't be overwritten. So this is more of a holistic view of every single individual task tracker all in one spot. So that way you can better manage your team. You can make sure nobody's drowning. You can offer additional resources, change priorities, different things like that. If you want to make edits, all you have to do is go to your team reports, go to whatever task tracker it is, and then from there you can make any edits that you want. So let's say instead of this being in the past, you want the new deadline to be next Friday, and instead of priority top, you want this to be priority high. Once you do that, it will automatically flow through on the team task tracker. So now you can see that that one is now priority high and the deadline is next Friday. If you want to buy a pre-built version of the team task tracker, I'll have it available on my shop. If you'd rather build it instead, you can go to my YouTube channel. First thing you'll need to do is go to playlists, automated task tracker, and in the playlist itself, you'll need to build the automated task tracker from scratch. And once you have the automated task tracker built, I'm going to show you exactly how to create a team tracker based off of those automated task trackers. And that automated task tracker that you just built is going to act as the blank task tracker for your teammates that you'll duplicate each time, just like I showed you in the video. So now I'm going to show you how to build it. All right, so the first thing you want to do is you want to have a blank copy that you can use as the template for future employees. We'll click File, make a copy. And I'm going to name this as blank team template. It's entirely up to you, but I recommend creating a folder for all your team task trackers just to be organized in Google Drive, but you don't have to. I'm going to go ahead and make a copy, and now we have a blank team task tracker. Now to create the full team version, we're going to go to File, make a copy. We'll rename this as full team task tracker, but you can name it whatever you want, and we'll click make a copy. Now we need to clean up some things that are not relevant to the full team task tracker. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the part task tab. I'm going to delete the recurring task tab. I'm going to go to extensions, app script, and I'm going to delete both of these automation codes. We don't need those since those are all happening on the individual level. Now we're going to go to the task list tab, and I don't want to have any sort of formatting for these cells. Reason being is we can't edit them, so there's no reason to have a drop down that we cannot edit. So I'm going to change edit type to none for every single one of these drop down cells. Same thing on the Done tab. I'm going to go ahead and select all of these options. This is not a table, so we have to format it in a different way. I'm going to select all of the drop downs and then just keep pressing delete until they're gone. Now, keep in mind that we do have some formulas inside cell M and N, so we want to make sure that those stay the same. On the Done tab, we're going to insert a column to the left, and we're going to name that as teammate. You can see right here we have a filter starting in column B, but we don't have one in column A, so I'm going to click on the blank box to the left of A and above 1. Click on the filter icon, and then reset it so that way teammate is included. For combined list, I'm going to click on column A and insert one column to the left. I'll put teammate. And then we're going to insert 5 different columns. So we're going to click on 5 columns, insert to the right. So we want those to be after task focus and before task summary. And these columns will have the same names as we have on our Done tab. So I'm going to go after task focus, value add all the way through task completed. Click copy, so Control C, then go to our combined list. And I want to keep the same formatting. So I'm going to right click, paste special, values only. And now it pasted without messing up my formatting. Now back on the team template, I'm going to actually insert one column to the left, do the same thing that we just did. So I'm going to put teammate, and then I'm going to select 5 columns and go between task focus and task summary. Go to the Done tab, select those 5 columns, hit copy, go back to the combined list, right click, paste special, values only. And now we're going to go to the visualizations worksheet. Then C1 we'll put teammate, and then we'll put the name. We'll put tutorial teammate. And you can make this have different colors, so that way you remind yourself later to add them if you want. But now we're going to go back to combined list, and in cell A2 we're going to put this formula. So it'll be equals array formula, open parentheses, if open parentheses is blank, open parentheses, $C, $2, colon, $C, close parentheses, comma, comma, and then visualizations worksheet D1. And this visualizations worksheet, so if you don't have it set, you can go to visualizations worksheet, select D1, lock it in with $signs by pressing F4, and press enter. Now this is blank because this is blank. But if we were to add a task, so for example, unplanned, task 1, the combined list is going to show task 1. It's going to pull whatever value is listed in that visualizations worksheet. So if I have this instead, it's going to pull that name. So this is how you easily update the name based off whoever's spreadsheet it's assigned to. All right, I'm going to go ahead and delete these. All right, over here under task summary, we're going to edit this formula to say ampersand, quote space, dash space quote, ampersand, the teammate. And then we're just going to want to drag that formula down all the way through the end of the table. All right, so I'm going to add this back just so you know what this looks like. Whatever this task is, not started, priority high, task focus, whatever, deadline, cool. All right, so on the combined list, you can see that the task summary is whatever the task details are listed in column C, the priority without the number, the status of it, so not started, and then the name of the person, so tutorial teammate. So now if you go to the dashboard and select the month that you're currently in, you can see that that summary is listed under June 12th. And the reason why it's listed under June 12th is because that's when the deadline is. Back to the full team task tracker, we're gonna add a new sheet. We'll rename that as Team Reports. And this will be a location where we have all the different team reports to easily access. And we're also going to simplify our formulas by building off of these reports. So the first thing I'm going to do is select cells A through C. I'm going to go down to row 21, click on the fill handle, go to alternating colors and select a color scheme. Click done. I'll make D very small. And then I'm going to copy and paste in F4. You can change this to chip form so that way it's a little bit cleaner. And then blank template. Just everything's in one spot. In A1, we're going to type in teammate. B, we'll type in link. And C, we'll type in range. All right, so I believe we're done with the blank team template, so I don't want to do anything with that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click into it and make a copy. We're going to put an IC1 task tracker, for example. This will be the name of the actual person that you're making the task tracker for. So we'll click make a copy. And since we have something still listed in the blank task tracker, let's go ahead and delete that so that way it's properly blank. Perfect. All right, so now we have IC1. And if you're wondering what IC stands for, it's just individual contributor, which is another name for an employee. So there's 2 ways you can add a link. One, you can do what we've been doing and just simply copy the URL, paste it under link, hit tab, and now you have the ability to see the task tracker name. Another thing you can do is use the @ symbol and then start typing the name of the task tracker, and you can link it right there directly without having the URL. In cell C2, we're going to use this formula. So it'll be equals array formula, open parentheses, if open parentheses is blank, open parentheses, B2 colon B, close parentheses, comma, comma, quote, combined space list, exclamation point, A2 colon M, quote, close parentheses, close parentheses. What this is saying is if in column B, the row is blank, we want it to be blank. If it's not blank, we want to return this value, which is combined list A2 colon M. And what this is it's on the task tracker itself. combined list and it's saying A2 all the way through M. You don't want to have it go through N because you don't want the task summary to flow through. Instead, you want it to be through M, and it's going through all the way through the end of column M. If you change things, you add different ranges, all that fun stuff to customize your task tracker, you'll need to adjust this to whatever you have, but by default, that's what it is. And we'll use this in a second when we do import range to link all the different spreadsheets together. Now in cell A2, we're going to type equals if, open parentheses, is blank, open parentheses, B2, close parentheses, comma, comma, import range, B2, comma, and then inside quotes, visualization space worksheet, exclamation point, D1, quote, close parentheses, close parentheses. Now what this is going to do is it's going to give you a reference error. And the reason why it's giving you a reference error is because it doesn't have access to sync between both of the different spreadsheets. All you have to do is click allow access and it will automatically sync. So you can see right here we have tutorial teammate, and that's because we're looking at the visualizations worksheet tab of this URL. And since we have the link right here in B2, we don't need to have the actual URL in full. We can simply point to the link, but it's looking at the visualizations worksheet tab and extracting D1, which is the name. So if we go back to our visualization worksheets tab, D1, that's the name. If I change this to whatever else on the full task tracker, it will automatically flow through and update to whatever teammate you have there. So that's what makes it so simple whenever you're adding a new teammate to just simply put whatever their name is, and then it will automatically flow through to the task tracker. All right, we're going to go ahead and drag this formula down through row 21. That way, if anything is populated later on, it'll work. And the reason why we have an array formula here is it will work for everything that's there. So if a link is detected, it will automatically populate this range. If a link is detected, it will use the formula right here. This is not a link, this is just a letter G. That's why you're getting a reference error because it's not a real spreadsheet. But if we were to attach another spreadsheet, which we will do in a minute, it will work. On our combined list, we're going to delete the formula that's in B2. Then in cell A2, we're going to put this formula. Now, this one is a bit complex. You don't necessarily need all of these import ranges unless you have a full team of 21, but this is what you'll do. So I'm not going to get into what exactly this means. I have a video showing how to use query, how to use import range, all that fun stuff on my YouTube channel, but you can just type this in directly. But what you're going to do is query, open parentheses, if error, open parentheses, vstack, open parentheses, import range, open parentheses, and then for each of these, all you're doing is pointing to these cells that are inside of your team reports. So for example, right here, I can go to team reports, and then this is B2. So team report B2. This one right here, team report C2. So that's all you're doing. Then you'll close parentheses, put a comma, and then you'll do the same thing. So a pro tip is all you have to do is copy it once. Make sure you have that comma included. You can hit Option Return for a page break and paste it. So now all you have to do is change the B2 to a B3, just like that. Now make sure you anchor in all of these. So you can anchor it in with the F4 or just add $ surrounding the row and the column. And just like that, you're good. You don't want to have duplicates. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the one that I just made duplicate, but you're going to do that all the way through however many people you want to have stacked on this list. And all this is doing is it's bringing in the details from the combined list right here for cells A2 all the way through M that we have designated on our team reports right here. And then it's stacking them on top of each other. So it's going to stack all the details for this first one on top of the person that's in the second one, on top of the third, and so forth, all the way through whenever you don't have any left. So the import range is actually bringing in the data from the other spreadsheet. The vstack is stacking it all on top of each other. For the if error, this allows us to anticipate future links to be created. So if there's nothing there currently right now, the if error is going to return a blank. That way it can still be configured in case you want to add a teammate later on, but it's not going to give an error message since it's not. Then for the query, it's going to return everything. So that's where the star comes into play. Where call 3, so column 3 on the actual task tracker itself is not blank. So column 3 is column C. So if I were to type something right here, even though this doesn't have anything, this doesn't have anything, this doesn't have anything, it's going to show up right there. So this is what allows us to avoid having a bunch of different blanks in between each person's list. And we can have everything stacked on top of each other, nice and neat. So once again, you don't need to necessarily know how this works. As long as you copy it and make sure everything's anchored in, you'll be good to go. All right, so now we have the combined list right here. Over here on the task list, we want to insert a column to the left, and we'll rename that as teammate. And then in cell A3, we're going to paste this formula. So it's going to be equals query, open parentheses, from the combined list A2 through N. Make sure you have those anchored in as an absolute reference with those $. So that way it doesn't change. You'll need this for it to work for the views. If it's not an absolute reference with the $, then it's going to shift and it's not going to work. So make sure you do that. Put a comma inside quotes. We'll put select star. So select all columns, where call 4 is not equal to done inside soft quotes. and call 3 is not null. Order by call 1, which is our teammates, in the quote, comma 0, close parentheses. So what this is doing is it's looking up everything in the combined list. If column D does not contain done and the task list is not empty, then it's going to return those values to this list. Now you can see right here, this looks a little bit funny. So I'm going to go ahead and select everything, and I'm going to put reset for both the fill color and for the text color. So that way everything is working as it should. Don't need that bold, and we're good. All right, for the done tab, we're going to make sure that we add the teammate in column A. Go to the task list. We'll copy the formula from A3. Go to the done tab, select A2, and paste it. Now, instead of having it not equal to done, we want to have it equal to done. Now, it's going to be blank because nothing exists currently. If we were to add anything to the done tab, it will move and be included in that list. So let's go ahead and enable the automation. So we'll go to extensions, app script. And whenever you create a new task tracker for each person, you'll need to make sure that it's authorized. So you'll just need to click run, review permissions, select your user, go to advanced, go to automated task tracker, and then continue. The reason why we need to do that is because it's not an officially vetted application that went through all the different vetting channels within Google itself. I made this, it's user generated, so that's why it's like that. Whenever you run it, it will give you this error. Reason why it's because it's set to only work on edit because it needs to know what cell it needs to look at. So that's perfectly great. This will automatically be enabled when you enable the spreadsheet. And then for the trigger, you'll need to make sure you set that up for each individual person. You'll add trigger, copy recurring tasks, select event source, time driven, each day between, we'll say 2 to 3 a.m. and save. And when you do that, all the recurring tasks that have yes, that it needs to be added to the task tracker, it will automatically be copied each day to the task list. All right, so now that we have this, we can simply mark this as pending, done, move this from the task list to the done tab. And now that we have something in the done tab, if we go back to our full team task tracker, on our done tab, you'll see that listed as well. So everything is working exactly as we want it to. All right, so now the team reports are done, the done, combined, task list, everything's done. All we need to do is update our dashboard locations. So we're gonna go ahead and click on column A, insert one to the left. We'll put teammate. We'll merge pending tasks with A5. So we'll select those and click merge. We'll do the same thing with the pending tasks. So we'll merge those all together. Then we'll copy the formula that we currently have in cell B7 and paste it in A7 instead. And we'll delete the one from B7. Now we need to adjust this formula a little bit. So instead of starting in column B, we want this to start in column A. So A3 through J, and make sure those are anchored in. We're going to select star where F is not null. We're going to go order by F and then E. And over here, we're gonna do the same thing. So column A through J, select star where F is not null and C is not null. Order by F, comma. Now this is super important. In order to get all 6 columns, you need to change this 5 to a 6. So that way it shows 39 rows and 6 columns. Now this is going to be a maximum of showing 39 rows. If there's more than 39 rows, then it's not going to include those in the table. The reason why that is because we want it to be all the way down to right here and not exceed it. If you want to include more, just add more rows. And you can adjust it to 50 rows or whatever you want it to do. So right here, you can see that we have an NA. And the reason why that is because there's nothing on our current task list for any of our teammates that has a task without a due date. So in order to not show these NAs, before VStack, we're going to type equals if error, open parentheses. Then after this second close parentheses, we'll put a comma, close parentheses. And now it will be a blank if that's the case. All right, let's go ahead and fix some of this formatting. So I'm going to select the entire area. Click on the boxes. We'll select all borders. Then we'll click on outer borders and make those a little bit thicker. So now everything is looking nice and neat. If you see that there are dates on the task tracker, but there are no dates listed right here, that means that you forgot to change the 5 to a 6. So it's being constrained to only the first 5 rows instead of only the first 6 rows. I made that mistake and it took me about 20 minutes to figure out what the heck was going on. All right, so let's double click and check to see if it is flowing through properly on our chart, which it is. If it's not, then double check whichever columns are being referenced. So F2 to F is equal to I3. That's what it should be. F is where our date is located. And we're talking about the combined list. So it's returning column in if F is equal to whatever date is listed. So if it's not showing up, double check that it's pointing to column in on the combined list and double check that it's pointing to the deadline in column F. All right, so before we go any further, let's go ahead and add a second teammate. So I'm going to click on blank teammate, file, make a copy. We'll put IC2 task tracker, make a copy on the visualizations worksheet. We'll go ahead and put IC2. Let's add a task. So we'll put IC2 test 1, not started, hi. Let's add a deadline of the 26th and enablement. So now let's go back to our full team task tracker, and we're going to go ahead and put at IC2 task tracker. You should see it pop up. If you want to copy the link, you can instead. And then once I press enter, I should see that this is populating with the range automatically, and I should see that this is prompting me to allow access. Once I allow access, the name IC2 should pop up under teammate. Then on my task list, I should see IC2 listed on my list, and it's set to go in alphabetical order, so that way everything's grouped together by the teammate instead of having everything based off of chaos. So I is before T, that's why it's ranked up top, even though technically on this list of team reports, it's lower than the tutorial teammate. So everything's looking good there. I go to combine list, I can see that this one is not ranked off of the teammate. So this one will just show based off of whatever order it is on the team reports. Then dashboard, I should see the IC2 right there. And then underneath the 27th, I should see IC2. Perfect. Everything is working exactly as we want it to do. So we're almost done. All we need to do is add some conditional formatting to make it look a little bit nicer. We're going to select all of column A and go to format, conditional formatting. Cell is empty. We want it to be none and none. The reason why this is important, you'll see in a second, but we want to make sure that if it's empty for these bottom rows, that we don't want any formatting to occur. Add another rule. Text is exactly equals indirect, open parentheses, inside quote, team reports, exclamation point, A2, in the quote, close parentheses. You can change the fill color to whatever color scheme you want. You can change the text color to whatever. If you want to make it bold, whatever you want to do, just customize it to whatever you want it to do. What this is doing is it's looking up the name that's listed in cell A2 of the team reports tab. So you can see that tutorial teammate is now highlighted in whatever color scheme we have here. That's because if you look at the team reports tab, cell A2 contains tutorial teammate. If I were to change this to whatever else, then it's no longer going to work. This is great because we want it to automatically color whatever this is to kind of color code things. We'll add this to this here as well. So I'm going to click into this to duplicate it. And now all we need to do is scroll over to the right and we're going to put A3 and change it to whatever color scheme you want. So let's say we want this dark teal color. You'll see now that IC2 matches that, and that's because on the reports tab, IC2 is in cell A3. So we're essentially going to do the same process all the way down through the end of 21. Or if you want to go based off of however many people you have, then you can do that too. So if you only have 10 people that will be working, there's not really a big reason to go all the way through 21 unless you want to. So I'm going to go ahead and keep doing that. So I'll change this to A4 and make this bold color. Now this is why this cell is empty is important, because if I change this and don't have that, it's going to apply the formatting to all the blank cells whenever it hits one of these cells that are blank. So that's where this comes into play, where if it's empty, then it's going to be empty. Let's bring this up and now we're good. Add another rule, A5, change this to a red color, okay. And you get the point, so you can keep going down through the end of however far you want to go. And we're also going to go add some coloration to column D. So format, conditional formatting, text is exactly not started. And if it's not started, I'm going to make this a blue color with some white font. Add another rule, pending. I'm going to make this a yellow color with some black font. Add another rule, next week. Make this a red color with a white font and hit done. So now whenever it's not started, it'll be this blue color. If it's marked as pending, it'll turn into this yellow color. And then if it's marked as next week, it'll be this red color. We do the same thing with priorities. So we're going to go to add another rule. This one, we're going to kind of cut a corner a little bit. So we're going to say text contains 1. Then we're going to make it a purple color with the white text. Add another rule. 2, we're going to make this have a red color with the white text. 3, we're going to make it have a blue color with the white text. 4, orange. 5, yellow, black text. And we're going to keep going down. So what we're doing here is we're looking at the same color schemes as we have right here. So we have 1, we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So you can do whatever color schemes you want. It doesn't really matter, but that's what we're doing. The reason why we're doing just text contains instead of trying to type out everything, it just saves time because there's only one time that 8 equals 1. There's only one time it equals 2, and so forth. So just a little bit of a time saver. On here, we're doing the same thing. Done, pending, not started, next week, ready, part. These two, you're not really going to see. Done, it's going to be moved automatically to the done tab. So that's why we are just doing these 3. All right, so now it looks a little bit prettier. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of column A, click on this little paintbrush, go to my team reports and click that. Now that we did that, the color schemes will match exactly, so you can kind of get to know which color is which person. We're going to do the same exact thing, so I'm going to paste, go to my dashboard, I'm going to select all of the different options that we can. Now it's all color coded as well. Now it looks like our formatting got messed up, so we're going to select the entire table all the way to the end. Then go to the 4 boxes to add a border. We'll select all borders. We want the line to be lighter, so we're going to change the line to light, then click outer borders, then go just a little bit thicker for just the outer borders. All right, so now the formatting is looking well, so we need to add this coloration to some of our other tabs. So we need the combined list and our done tab still. So we'll go to our task list, select all of column A, click on paint. then go to Done and select all of column A. To fix the formatting in cell A1, we'll select B1, click Paint, and then select A1. Now we're going to go to our task list, select all of column A again, click on Paint Format, go to Combine List, click on all of column A, and now our conditional formatting is set up. Now if we look at our visualizations, it's blank, and that's because our worksheet's blank because we have an error on our Done tab where everything is built off of for the visualizations. So if we scroll here to the right, we have a reference error, and that's because column N and column O have actual formulas inside the headers. So it's being blocked because we shouldn't have this cell being populated. So if we go back to our original query in cell A2, we can change N to M, and that's all we want to go to. So that way we can extract everything all the way through the task completed date. Then the met deadline and the week started is going to be based off of whether or not it has a deadline and what the task completed date is. Now, the task completed date is still blank, and that's because we need to do one more thing on the individual trackers. So if we go to B2, instead of going through column G, for the first part, we want to go through column M, and for the second part, we want to go through column L. And once we do that, all of our dates will automatically populate. And when the dates populate, now on our combined list, it's going to populate as well. If you see numbers, that's perfectly fine. The reason why you see numbers is because on the back end of all spreadsheets, it's a number, so that way you can do formulas and things like that, but it's all correlated with the date. So all we need to do is change the format to a date, and we'll be able to see that exactly as the date is instead of in the number format. So everything's good to go there. Now, make sure you do that for every single one of your teammates that you've built so far, and make sure you adjust the blank template. So we're going to go to our combined list, go right here, and then for the first part where it says task list, we're going to change that to M, and then for the done tab, we'll change that to L. So that way all the future trackers will be correct. So I'm going to go back, and I have 2 people I've created so far. So I'm going to go to my team reports, go to IC2 as well, and fix that over there. So in the combined list, change this M, and then change this to L. So now we have all of our dates. Perfect. So now that we have our dates in there, if we go back to our done tab, it's going to calculate whether or not we met our deadline, and then it's going to extract the week start date based off of the task completed date. Now right now we only have 1 task that's been completed, so let's go ahead and complete some more. So I'm going to go back to IC1, for example. We'll go to our task list. I'm going to say a plan task. We'll put whatever this is. Not started, we'll put a different priority just so we can have some variability in our spreadsheets. And then let's give this one a deadline of the 20th. We'll hit pending, and then we'll hit done. And then it should move to the bottom of the done tab. So now you can see here in live form, it calculates that the deadline was met, and that's because today is the 19th, the deadline is the 20th. So since today is less than or equal to the 20th, where the deadline is, it's going to show that it's on time. And then it automatically calculates based off of the 19th, whatever Monday that was, which is the 16th. So now if we go back to our full team task tracker, we can see that the new task has been added. And now if we go to our visualizations, we can see that there has been 2 tasks that were completed on the 19th. Both have improved profitability as the reason. We have one that was high, we have one that was top, we have one that was unplanned, one that was planned, and then one that was on time. The reason why we only have 1 instead of 2 is because this one right here doesn't have a deadline. So since it doesn't have a deadline, it can't meet or not meet the deadline. So it's just going to be blank, and it's only going to extract the ones that have a deadline. So just as a final test, let's go ahead and create a new user from scratch, and then we're going to add it to the task list. We're going to add a couple of tasks, make sure everything flows through properly on the task list, make sure everything flows through properly on the dashboard. We're going to send some of those tasks to done, make sure everything flows through properly on the done tab, and then everything is just working as we expected. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of everything that we have now. Go to our team reports. I'm going to click on this blank team template, and we're going to duplicate that. Once again, make sure that you fix the combined list formula before you do this, otherwise you're going to have to do more later on. So click File, make a copy. We'll put IC3 team test, make a copy. Under task list, let's go ahead and add 3. We'll put unplanned, we'll put planned, we'll put unable to start. So test 1, test 2, test 3, not started, and not started. Let's put a high, a low, and a top. Then let's put a reporting, troubleshooting, and a hygiene. So all those are acting correctly. Let's go ahead and add a future date to 2 of them, and now everything should be good. Now remember, whenever you're creating a new person, you need to go to extensions, app script, authorize the code to run. Once you do it once, it will automatically work for the rest of them. Then you need to go in and add the trigger for the recurring tasks. So recurring task trigger, add trigger, copy recurring task, time driven every day from 2 to 3 a.m. and hit save. So that way everything is going to run as it needs to. All right, so I'm not going to go over the recurring task portion because that's not part of the tutorial for the team tracker. That's just for the individual tracker, which you have linked in the instructions right here. So we'll make sure everything is working now. So we're going to go ahead back to our team task tracker. We'll put at IC3 team test, and that's the name of our task tracker. Alternatively, you could copy the URL and paste it. This should automatically populate. Then it should give you a reference error until you allow access. Once you allow access, it should extract whatever you have here. In this case, we need to update the name. So go to Visualizations Worksheet, IC3, and it will automatically populate and it will be color-coded right there. Anything on the task list should automatically flow through, and it should be color-coded with that same code. All the progress/status should be color-coded based off of their value and the priority as well. And then you should have the deadlines flow through and everything's looking perfect. Now, one thing I did not mention before is just like on the individual tracker, you can click on the week start, and then it will automatically calculate how many tasks have been completed that week by your team. And that's being pulled from the done tab right here, or based off of the completed date. All right, let's go ahead and make that blue, make it nice and neat. Okay, now everything's looking perfect. So I'm gonna go to the dashboard and see how everything's looking here. If you see a rogue bold, just unbold it. It looks like since we have a due date of 6/21 with the new person, it's being included in order from the date most recent to the furthest, and then we have one that doesn't have a due date, so that's being listed at the end. On the task list, it should show how many tasks are pending. One thing we do need to update is the verbiage. So instead of you have, you can put your team has, and then instead of you have, you can say your team has, and then instead of it saying you have 5 tasks pending, it says your team has 5 tasks pending. Unless it's 1 task that's pending, then it says your team has 1 task. It's just grammar, doesn't really matter. But everything's working exactly as we planned. So you see the task list not started, everything's flowing through. We have our calculation based off of the date. We can see our snapshot is working. So for our new person, they're listed under the 21st and the 27th. And then under our visualizations, we don't have anything that's been changed yet. So let's go ahead and complete some. So I'm going to go ahead and put pending, done, and then we'll move from the task list to the bottom of the done tab, and we'll do it one more time. The first time it takes a minute, second time it's super quick. And if it's not moving, that means that you never ran to authorize the app script to allow the automation to work. So just make sure you do that. Now if we go to our done tab, we can see that everything's working exactly proper on here. So we have the met deadlines working, the week starts working. We go back to our full team task tracker. Everything is populating based off of whatever date it is. Now, if we want to, we can go to the individual level, and just to test things out, we can change the task completed date to a different date. So now since I changed that by double clicking on the date, I changed it to the 12th. Now we have a different week start date. If I go back to our team task tracker, now you can see that the week start date is split into 2 different weeks instead of only in 1 week. So that's exactly like we want to see. All right, now the last thing I want to do is show you how to create the different groups on the table. So what you'll do is you'll click on this little views button on the full team task tracker, and then you can create different group by views. So for example, if you want to group by the teammate, you can click on that and it automatically groups by the teammate. By default, it might add some of these options. You can just select none if they're not interesting. For example, it's not interesting really for the deadlines, things like that. But I do want to see a count of the task list. So I can see the teammate and I can see how many tasks fall within that category. And you can couple groupings with filters. So if I want to see a filter for the next 7 days, for example, I can click on this little filter button, go to filter by condition, use the drop down to say less than or equal to, and I'll put equals today, open parentheses, close parentheses, plus 7. And that will be 7 days out from today, and anything that falls within that realm will be here. Now I'm going to save this view. I'll say deadline in next 7 days by teammate, for example, hit save, and now we're good. So if you don't save that, you'll still see it on this list, but it will say temporary view, then whatever that is. If you have temporary view, whenever you refresh the page, it will disappear. If you don't have a temporary view, if you have a permanent view, next time you click on it, it will still be there, and you can click on it to be able to go directly to that view without having to sort and filter all over again. One thing to note is if you make any changes, so for example, if I say pending, if I exit out of this view, it will save whatever changes you made. So now it will only show pending with those criteria you had earlier. So just keep in mind for that. If you want to have different views, you can have as many views as you like. So you can create different group by views. You can create different views by filter. So if you have a specific filter that you want to do, but you don't want to group anything. So if you want to see just pending statuses, for example, you can select those, save that view, and then you'll be good to go. All right, one last thing to note. This is super, super important. If you don't have these anchored in, so if it's just A2 and in, if you try to change this, so for example, this, sometimes it may work, sometimes it may not work depending on where the formula is set. For example, if I do a filtered view and I have it sorting from A to Z, it's going to break. And the reason why it's breaking is because now the formula is down here instead of up there. So that's why it's important to lock that in. So if I go to don't save, let's go ahead and anchor this in with the dollar signs. You can press F4 to add those super quickly. Now, if I were to create a filtered view, so I'll go create filter view, and now I can go A to Z, and now it will still work because the formula on the back end, not in the visualization, but on the back end, instead of moving down here, it's staying where it was. So super, super important. That's how to troubleshoot if you see that. But that's everything. Now you're ready for you and your team to start using your task trackers. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions and like and comment for more.